Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Tim Time Projects. So today on the bench here I had something that a friend dropped off, and no, not Chris. And yes, I do have friends other than Chris. This friend is a swimming pool. Of course, he doesn't invite me over to use it, so that probably shows you what kind of friend he is. But so this is, it says electronic chlorine generator. I believe he uses salt on his pool. I'm not really sure how all that works, but anyhow, this component here I guess helps clean the water or add the chemicals to the water. He says at the beginning of the year it starts off okay, and then as time goes on it just ceases to work. What all ceases, I have no idea. He did an internet search, and of course the internet search told him to go ahead and replace some parts here, and looks like we have these parts here, and we'll dig into them a little bit and see. Didn't take it apart yet. Don't really know too much about it. There won't be any diagnosing it, obviously, because it's sitting here on a bench. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but we'll take a look at those parts and see. Looks like the board down here, I don't know if you can see down here, looks like it got a little bit warm. I can see some discoloration on the board. There is a heat sink with that. I'd imagine it's probably a voltage regulator. But pull that board out, maybe flip it over and take a look. Has some wires here that are marked gray, violet, white, and blue. That all makes that. Got an orange, a yellow, and then a red and a black, and everything seems to be marked. So I'll be able to get that out pretty easily, flip it over. We'll take a look and see what we can see on the board itself. So give me a few minutes to get that out. Looks like there's a couple of screws. I don't know if there's any more than that. Looks like if I pull these out, the board will just slide forward in these little keyholes and probably lift straight out. So give me a few minutes to take those connectors off and those bolts out. Okay, just pulled the connectors off like I said, and actually you don't even have to take these bolts all the way out. Just loosen them up a good amount and the whole board will slide forward. And these will pop out and it'll slide past. You can see where the heat was. See the color? I want to get a closer look at that under the magnifying glass so we can take a look and see if those are bad solder joints. Well, let's see what else they gave us. I'll have to see what all those parts are. Their label is RZ1, RZ2, and RZ3. So let me take a look. I'll look them up and find out what they are for sure, and we'll take a look at the underside of it. Hopefully I can get it under the microscope pretty well. Just give me a few minutes to do that. So looking at it here, like I said, even under this, they don't look to be burned up. I'll take a look under the bigger microscope just to be sure. But I'm going to replace the parts anyhow because they came in the kit. Thermistor, it says its values, I guess at room temperature, is about 2 ohms, somewhere in that area. So I'll take a look at that, compare it to the new one. But let me look at it under the other microscope and then get them out of there. If I find anything worth viewing on this scope, I'll put it on screen. Okay, there it is on screen. Looking at it through the other microscope, it's kind of obvious. This one here is a little bit harder to see. And bear with me because I got to move it until it focuses and I don't have a jig to hold it that way. But let's see, is that the one I want? Yep, I think that is. Look at it. See all the way around the, kind of looks like the black impression all the way around the leg. Can't really point to it, but it looks kind of like a, I don't know, like a volcano with a big rock sitting in the middle of it. I'm trying to hold it so I can point at it, but sure look at the right area. Come on. Come on, anyhow. when it gets closer, you'll see there's a ring all the way around that area. That is a cold solder joint, and probably what's causing the heat too. So I will replace that, and we'll test them when I get them out. So no big deal to do the testing on, or the soldering on this. Let me get things heated up. We'll get those replaced and get a better look at it. Give it a little bit of fresh solder to heat things up, get things flowing on it. Yeah, they're big leads and big part of the circuit board. There we go. And they probably used environmentally friendly solder too, and you know how that stuff is to get that to melt as well. All right. Come on. All right. They're tight in there, that's for sure. Okie dokie. And here's the first one out. Let's see what that just checks that. It's still pretty warm from the soldering iron. Right there, there's one more of that off there. We want it to stick nice and good. So let me get that. Hang on, I'm going to clean it up a little bit more. I'll be back. Alright, so that Thermistor we took out, I put over here on the ohm meter. It was a little bit over 1. It's about 3.5 ohms now. So I'm going to put this one in. Here's the new one. So you get the pads all cleaned up. I did have to change my soldering iron. I still had the tip from the surface mount in there, so I had to shut it and let it cool down. So I'm sure it's still powerful hot, but I'll change that over and then turn on again when we're ready to go. Oh, hot, and I'll be back because this will take a minute or two to heat up. Alrighty, zoom in a little bit here. Or am I trying to get right up here? Use my fingers so I know where I'm trying to get to. There we go. Put a little bit of flux on there. Got the soldering gun heated up nice and good. I'm going to use some good solder. Hopefully we can get some better penetration on this. It's melting on both the solder and the pad, which is a good thing. Looks like it flowed through onto the other one. I don't want to heat the board too much. I'll give it a second to cool down while I take a look at that. I'll look at it too under the other scope too after I cut the leads. Alright, and then the same thing with this one. Like I said, put a little bit of flux on it already to help clean it up, provide me an atmosphere, and come on, melt on the pad. There we go. I want the solder to melt on both the pad and on the lead. That way I know they both got to the right temperature. Alrighty. Let that cool down for a minute. And I'll get the other microscope down here so I can look at it. Okay, so there's one. All leads all trimmed on and cleaned up. So let me throw the other two in. That one's reading off 4 ohms. Well, I don't know what's good and bad, but that's what it's reading. Okay, so the next two to come out are going to be that and that. Again, like I said, they should be much easier because they're much smaller. And let me put a little flux up here on this one, or some solder again to make those flow a little bit easier. I have to make this go. There we go. I want to melt those plastic pieces. Alright, got them cleaned out and ready to go for the new solder job there. I also checked all the other pins in here to see if there's any other cold solder joints or anything. Doesn't appear to be. I don't want to subject the board to that much heat, otherwise I would do them all because they all have the lead-free solder. But I think we want to just make sure that it works like with what we're doing now. And a little bit of flux on there. Give me a little bit of better cooking action. Sorry if I moved the board out of the vision there. All right. So just grab them on both the pad side and the lead side, and we'll let that cool down a little bit while we come to the lower one. Alright, back to this guy. And then back down to this guy. Everything looks nice and shiny and silvery. Looks like it flowed through onto this side of the board. Let me cut these off. Clean up the board a little bit. Here's my tip of cue. Now that flux that I use, they claim that you do not have to clean it off the board. That it won't eat away at components. That's why I bought it, but I still like to clean it off. I think it makes it look better, plus helps you see if you did a good enough job or not. Because sometimes you have to go back and retouch these things. It's just the way it is. Alright, my board shellac is all dried up, so I can't even use that anymore. But there's the new components. Let's see, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So I will put this back in, and like I said, we won't be doing any trying on it because we don't have the stuff to try it. So my buddy's gonna have to try it and see if things work, and let us know. If not, maybe we'll do a road trip and actually go over and see it in action. So let me get it back in the case here and make sure everything's good, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, let's see, there we have it. Everything seems to be put back together. I got blue, white, violet, gray, red to red, black to black, yellow to yellow, orange to orange. So he'll have to give it a try and make sure that everything works. Like I said, it was an intermittent problem, so I don't know how long it'll take him to decide if the issue's fixed. Guess if he puts it in and sparks shower out right away, then we'll know they're not fixed. But hey, thanks for watching, and just something quick to get out there to the masses, so have fun.